Welcome to the Double Dribble Podcast with Dubin and Dakil. That's Jared Dubin, author of the newsletter Last Night in Basketball. Make sure you're checking that out. Make sure you're subscribed to the newsletter. Be a paid subscriber. Help Jared out. Also, help yourself out. He's going to make you smarter. He's catching things that he saw literally last night in basketball, and he's going to give you all that fun stuff and all that interesting news and tidbits. I'm Bo Dakil, former video coordinator with the Clippers Spurs Team Australia. Do videos on Offside, contributor on NBA TV, and that's all we really need to get into. Jared? Oh, I'm very bad at this. Please, everybody, rate, review, subscribe. Do all that fun stuff for us. That helps us out a whole bunch in the podcast game. We need all that. Please, please, please rate, review, and subscribe. And Jared, where else can they watch us?
YouTube.com/@DoubleDribblePod. Find us on Spotify, Apple, wherever else you get your podcasts. Leave those 5-star reviews.
Yes, sir. All right, we got a lot to cover, so I kind of want to jump into it. Not even going to ask Jared how he's doing. I'm just going to assume he's fine. He's got a dope sweatshirt on. Literally says dope on it if you're not being able to watch us on YouTube.
This is my favorite sweatshirt. It's so old, it's like falling apart, and I'm just never going to get rid of it.
Oh, I have one of those. I think everybody has one of those. Like it's pretty amazing in that sense. So we got a lot to cover, and that was before I woke up this morning with the news. Cade Cunningham has a collapsed lung.
Yep.
Happened with the collision with Trey Johnson in their game against Washington.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
I read that this morning because my first reaction was, huh? Because I know he didn't play Wednesday and it was a back issue, and now it turns out it's a collapsed lung, which kind of need both your lungs to play basketball, Jared.
Yeah, I would think so. I've got the medical term for it here, the left lung pneumothorax, which is just the term for a collapsed lung. I've been watching The Pit, so I got to use the proper medical terminology here.
Got to get into that show.
Oh, dude, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, so collapsed lung, reevaluated in 2 weeks. Brutal for the Pistons for very obvious reasons. Brutal for Cade. Another instance, I think, of the 65-game rule being dumb because he's only played 61 games so far, and if he misses the rest of the regular season, he's not going to be eligible for MVP or All-NBA, and that's just going to suck a lot.
And the other thing that really sucks about that 65 game, he's not at 61 games played, Jared. He's at 60 because he only played 5 minutes in that game against Washington in the first quarter. So that doesn't count, which is part of the thing that makes that 65 game rule pretty atrocious. We're not going to dive into that rule. I'm just going to say very quickly, 65 games or 2,000 minutes might be able to help make that a little bit easier. With all that stuff, but this is a bit problematic with where we're at. I want to read Jeff's thoughts. Make sure you're following him on X. In Street Clothes always gives you great insight in the injury. Like, this is who I go to for injuries. And I mean, go to his account. He doesn't know me. He probably doesn't give two shits about me. But
I worked with him on a story one time back in the day I was doing a story on how the Knicks were planning to keep Kristaps Porzingis healthy throughout his career. This was back during his rookie year, and Jeff helped a lot with that.
Perfect. Well, imagine great dude, but great follow on Twitter, especially when it comes to sports injuries. Cade Cunningham injury update. A pneumothorax/collapsed lung is much more common in contact sports like the NFL, but there have been several cases in the NBA, including, and I haven't remembered this name in a very long time, Gerald Wallace.
Oh, wow.
Crash. Yeah, I go, your nickname's Crash. You're going to get a collapsed lung. I think the day you get the nickname, you get that. CJ McCollum had it happen to him twice.
Right.
Terrence Jones, average time lost, 26 days, approximately 10.8 games. Now, this won't hurt them in the standings too much. They're so far ahead. Yeah, actually, no. I should be careful.
They're 3.5 games ahead of Boston.
Yeah, I felt like they were just further ahead, but credit Boston with the way they've been playing. Like, they could fall to the 2 seed. If it really comes down to how much time he misses. And now it's going to come down to, the guys like Marcus Sasser
Right.
And Jenkins, and what do those guys produce for them? Now, they did well in those games when Cade had missed, but like we're gonna see this is it. This is a whole live look at everything I'm worried about with the Pistons come playoff time.
Exactly the same thoughts that I have. Like, we've been talking all year about the biggest issue with the Pistons is how can they create offense without Cade doing everything for them? And we're going to get an extended test case of that here. It's going to have to be more Jalen Duren creation, more Tobias Harris in the post, more Asar Thompson creation, more Duncan Robinson doing stuff off the dribble in addition to all the stuff off of screens. Like you said, Dennis Jenkins and Marcus Sasser are going to have to play much more significant roles than they have been throughout the season. It's going to be really, really challenging for them because it's, like I said, it's an extended run at the situation that we were worried about to begin with.
And to just kind of go through, let's just kind of run through their next 5 games. They're at Washington tonight, which, let's just be honest, Sasser should score 67. Just throwing it out there. Then they have a little homestand, but they have the Warriors, Lakers, Hawks, Pelicans. I mean, obviously the Warriors are like, eh. Then they go out on the road, Minnesota, Oklahoma City. It's tough, man. That's a tough.
That Lakers, Hawks, Pelicans, Minnesota, Oklahoma City is tough.
Yeah. That's like a brutal stretch right there. So it's going to be really interesting. Like, those can all easily be losses. Mm-hmm. And in reality, probably should be. Maybe you have a puncher's chance. No, you have more of a chance against New Orleans. And who knows what's going on with the Hawks. We're going to talk about them in a minute. But, that's tough. That's a tough beat to be at. Minnesota, you don't know if they'll have Ant back, which is also another injury that kind of sucks. And we'll have to see how that goes.
That's another one for the 65-game rule, by the way, where he's only played a certain number of games. And he's another one he only played like 3 minutes in one game because he left with injury. So it's another one that doesn't count toward his total.
Who's the reporter? And I'm not talking Haberstroh because it's a bit with Haberstroh. But who's the reporter who's going to say all NBA this year should have an asterisk next to it?
I feel like a lot of people.
Yeah, this is going to be a very common. Just warning you guys now in March.
We're already looking at like 3 guys, Cade, Maxey, and Edwards, that would be locks for all NBA.
Yeah.
That are possibly not going to be eligible.
So everybody brace yourselves for.
And if Jokic misses more than one game the rest of the year, he's not going to be eligible. If Shea misses like 5 or 6 games or whatever it is, which we don't expect, but it's possible.
All of this is crazy. Wemby's like 4 games, right? Like we're in
like that. Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Well, let's get to happier stuff. Well, it is happier stuff. I think it's a good thing. I don't know how you feel. It was announced the league is going to go into the governor's meeting, vote on expansion, Seattle and Las Vegas. One side note, LeBron already said he has no interest in team ownership. And I think that has a large part to do with.
Wait, when did he say that?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And that was part.
One of the things I was going to bring up was that Mike Vorkunov and Joe Varden at The Athletic reported that his business partners, Fenway Sports Group, weren't interested, but LeBron had said repeatedly over the previous few years that he was very interested and he wanted to be the guy that owned at least part of the Vegas team. So it was interesting that the reporting dropped yesterday that Fenway wasn't interested.
Let's just say this. This is an important thing here, Jared, distinction. LeBron said this on March 19th, 2026.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens in the summer. Let's see what happens next summer. It's what he said now.
I will say,
with all that.
Next summer, the timeline gets really tight because they're supposedly going to expand for the 28-29 season. If LeBron plays another year, he's already in 2027. They might want to have the ownership groups locked in by then. Like I would think that they would. And you can't own part of a team while you're playing, obviously.
That might be why he's saying it. And then, I mean, little shenanigans, little backroom mystery deals. And then when he retires, he comes in as a minority owner to some degree. Who knows with all that stuff? How do you feel about one, expansion in general. Are you worried it will dilute the league? Buddy of ours, Nate Duncan, has said he prefers relocation over expansion. A lot of talk Memphis should move to Nashville. With kind of propped up in this situation. But overall, how do you feel about expansion? Are you worried about dilution of talent? What's your just thoughts off the bat?
I'm pro expansion, even if only because I think Seattle should have a team back. Like the Supersonics, obviously, we know, disgracefully stolen from Seattle, and they should have been back in the league a long time ago. They'll get their franchise history back and everything. Like the Thunder only really barely acknowledged that they used to be the Sonics to begin with. Everybody referred to their title last year as the first in franchise history, which makes sense because it was obviously the first in Thunder history. I think adding Seattle, I wrote about this in my post at Last Night in Basketball. The Seattle would be the league's 12th largest market, since if they come in right away, and then Vegas is comparatively smaller, but it's already like the unofficial 31st city of the NBA to begin with, and we've seen that Vegas like quickly adopted the Aces and the Golden Knights and the Raiders. So those two cities being added to the mix, I think, drive up revenues. I think it makes financial sense for the owners. Like, yeah, they'll have to split the TV money 32 ways instead of 30, but they're going to get massive checks, and they don't have to split those checks with the players. Like, even if you conservatively estimate that it's like $15 billion combined for the new teams, it's $7.5 billion apiece. Supposedly, they're seeking at least $8 billion apiece, but let's say they get $15 billion combined. That's $500 million per owner, free and clear. None of it has to go to the players. If they get up into the $20 billion range, $10 billion apiece, $667 billion or $667 million per owner. And the higher the expansion fees get, the more the relative valuations of the other teams are going to go up, and that's where the owners really make their money to begin with, not on the year-to-year profits. So I think it makes a ton of sense from that perspective. I think that the expansion draft will be awesome for a lot of different reasons, like awesome TV event, first of all. The league can probably make a whole lot of money off of that too, and that'll be split between the owners and the players, I would assume. A lot of strategy involved, both for the teams in terms of who they're going to protect or not protect, and then for the teams that are building their new franchises. Like, do you want to go for youth? Do you want to go for veterans and try to win right away? Do you want to go for, like, restricted free agents so you can get their bird rights and whatnot, which we saw Charlotte do when the Bobcats came back into the league? So I think from that perspective, it's really good. And I think there's plenty of talent to go around to do this. Teams are using deeper rotations than at any time in recent memory, and some of that is because of the physical demands of the game are higher now than they were, just because you have to cover so much more ground on a night-to-night basis. But there are also just more talented and viable players in the league than there have been in a long time. So I think there's plenty of talent to justify doing this. And I know Howard Beck has talked about how adding two teams means you're automatically going to like increase the number of bad teams in the league because there aren't enough stars to go around. But I think we've seen that there might be more stars in the league than we think they are. Like, nobody thought that Tracy McGrady was going to be able to carry a team until he went to Orlando. Nobody thought James Harden was going to be able to carry a team until he went to Houston. Jalen Brunson, Steve Nash, like, guys are hiding in plain sight. And I think that it's possible that, A, we have more stars than it currently seems in the league, and B, that there's more than enough talent to carry two more teams than we've seen in the league right now.
I think one on the talent perspective, also the influx of talent from Europe. Like, it's not all just like when we've had expansion in years past, the international market wasn't as strong as it is now, like talent wise. And I think that's part of it that kind of helps a little bit levy, sort of buoy the talent here for a little bit. I think there's more to that. I think you're right with just we have more talent. Like, look at the Jared McCain situation. They didn't have minutes for him in Philly, and now they have a ton, by the way. But they didn't at the time, and so I think there's like a lot of places with that stuff. Go read Keith Smith's Spot Track, because he kind of broke down sort of the expansion rules, and everybody has to refresh on this. to a large degree in terms of strategy. I thought he had a great breakdown on Spot Track, so make sure you're checking that out.
It's been since 2004 since we did this, so it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's 22 years, and the draft will still probably be a little bit. I want to push back on one small thing, and it's about Vegas. All those places, all the teams that they've accepted into Vegas and whatnot, like, they didn't have, like, that Vegas fan base wasn't attached to other teams. The one thing I got to say, over the past, like, 25 years, even longer maybe, Las Vegas has been a Lakers town. And I mean it full-heartedly. We see it at Summer League when they've had a high draft pick. The Lonzo Ball year was absolutely... That was the hardest ticket to get, to go to Summer League. Like, it was ridiculous with all that. But, like, the Lakers play preseason games in Vegas regularly. Like, they've courted that group, that city a lot, and that fan base does... That city rocks with L.A. in terms of the Lakers. Whereas it wasn't like... It wasn't fucking with the L.A. Kings, so when they get the Golden Knights, it's theirs. You know, it wasn't rocking with the Sparks, so when they get the Aces, it's theirs. And it helps also that the Aces immediately won, and the Golden Knights won.
The Golden Knights won, I think, in their first season. I think they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, or at least went to it. Or it was something. Like, they had an unbelievable run with that. You know, Oakland Raiders moves to... To be honest, I bet you if we looked at a lot of those fans are still coming from Oakland, from LA, because it's such an easy trip to go to Vegas. That's my one worry. It will be a little bit harder to build the fan base for that team when you have to try to pull it away from the Lakers. And now that the Lakers have Luka, they're exciting. We're going to get into them in a second, but like that's tough. I think for that city, I think they'll be able to do it. But I think that's the one thing where I'm like, because Seattle's awesome. I was just there a couple weeks ago when they beat my Rams. I was at the game. I may have said the city sucks, but that was more like a sports thing than actual. The city's awesome. It was actually one of my first road trips. When I was with the Clippers very early in my internship, was I got to go to the city when it was still the Sonics. I just think ultimately, like, this has been a long time coming. I'm happy for Seattle. I'll be curious who the ownership groups are.
Yeah.
And can we get a Kevin Durant returns to Seattle for a retirement season?
Maybe. Or
full circle.
LeBron in Vegas if he's really not going to be part of the ownership group.
Yeah. Well, no, he's going to Cleveland next year for the Swan Song. I'm just joking. We don't know what's going to be his deal. Do you have anything else on expansion, like notes or anything that you're kind of?
I do wonder if, like you said, if you think that Vegas might be slow to adopt a team, I wonder if the strategy of that ownership group might be, we're going to try to get veterans and try to be pretty good right away, so that it doesn't take long to adopt the team.
Yeah. I just think it's going to be. I just think it's a little bit tougher than we're going to anticipate there. Any thoughts on the relocation, like Memphis to Nashville? Nashville's always kind of been mentioned on like the outside of the expansion conversation, and people are just like, just move the Grizzlies there. I think Draymond said something.
Yeah, I think David Adelman said something too when he was asked about potential expansion. He brought up Nashville as like a nice city. It's something that's been like bubbling up in recent years, like rumors about it and whatnot. I think there was a clause in the Grizzlies ownership that like if minority owners if someone wanted to move the team, the minority owners could sort of reclaim. That might be something that I just
we just don't.
That is like apocryphal. Go ahead.
I'll just say, like, I don't like it's hard to say because obviously I'm a Rams fan and the history of us, you know, the relocation of the Rams and things like that. It does suck for the city. And to be honest, I've had my battles with Memphis as a Clipper, as a Spur. I got to say, when they're rocking, when they're good, that fan base shows out. And, like, I kind of I want to defend them a bit. And like, I don't feel like they should relocate. If we're talking about relocating for a team, sorry, New Orleans, like I don't know what's happening with like, but I don't know necessarily if I would start. Like I was kind of surprised that all of a sudden everybody's like Memphis relocates to Nashville, and I get it because within states and stuff. But like I don't know if I feel like Memphis really needs that. They just need to be getting good again, and they draft well, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I guess we're going off the rails here a little bit with
Memphis
our
and
expansion
Nashville are
stuff.
both cool cities, though. So
Never been to Nashville. Not gonna lie to you, wasn't happy in Memphis when we had like a long stretch of days off and had a lot of time. And I asked the lady, "Where's the nearest movie theater?" And she's like 45 minutes away. And I looked at her like, "What?" So like, I don't maybe just get a movie theater and everybody will be happy. I don't know. Maybe it's changed. This was like 2014, and this is. I have a lot of fun stories of my experiences in Memphis. We can discuss for another time. We got to talk about the other thing that's kind of going on. The Milwaukee Bucks are fighting with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who could have seen this coming? Giannis wants to keep playing. The Bucks want to shut it down. I think I'll take the risk here speaking for you. I think we both think they should shut him down. They're not making the playoffs, and I get it. Giannis is a competitor and and all this, but like the organization needs to start taking care of itself here a little bit. And although I'm anti-tanking, these are the rules they have right now, and they should tank right now.
yeah, and they should protect him from himself right now. Like
Well, they should protect the asset, the trade asset that he is.
both. Like they
Yeah.
should protect the trade asset, and they should protect him from himself. Like, what if he gets injured even worse than he has been throughout the season? He's got the lingering calf thing. He's got the knee thing now. Like, what is the purpose of him coming back on the court if he's going to be out for another couple weeks to begin with? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense to me. It seems like this is kind of setting the stage for. See, I didn't ask out. We had these differences in agreement in what we wanted to do with my future, and that forced a breakup. Even though I said that I would never ask out of Milwaukee.
Yeah, the whole saga that we've had all year with him was him quietly asking out. Like, let's just be honest with all that stuff. Look, they're 6.5 games out from Charlotte for the 10 seed in the play-in tournament. Like, they're 2-8 in their last 10. They had like there was a run of games where like if they won these set of games for like the next week, they'd have a chance. They lost them all. Like it's over. It's done. Like we just need to move on. Get ready. I just feel like this is a funny wrinkle, and I can't imagine like who could have seen this coming. I think we've all were expecting this at some point, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
and I think some of this is selfish on Giannis's side. Right? Like, this is him trying to protect his image so much and being so focused. Yo, you won them a championship. You're gold there. You're done. Like, just relax, dude. In that regard. I don't know. It's just, I roll my eyes now. I'm really I'm very angry with Giannis because now he's made me dislike him. How he's moved this season. And like all this, like I'm kind of just like, man, I just don't like you, which sucks because he's a very likable guy when you see his things and his whole stuff and things. But I've been on kind of a low note really since he lectured Eric Neem about failure. Like okay, like I've kind of been like on the downslope, but now I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of tired of you.
I don't know if I'm at the point where I don't like him, but this whole saga, this entire season, from the exclusive negotiating window with the Knicks that never came into anything, to all of the rumors after that, to the we're going to amnesty Damian Lillard's, or not amnesty, we're going to waive and stretch
Waive
Damian
and stretch
so we can get Miles Turner, and then we're not going to have any guards on the team except for Ryan Rollins and AJ Green, I guess. Like Kevin Porter Jr. is like our third best guard or whatever. Everything about this season has been annoying on one front or another. I'm just ready to be over and done with it and get him to whatever his next destination is.
Yeah, and so we'll I'm sure have a lot of speculation in the summertime when we can do all that in the future. Because now, like, I think we're about 30 minutes, 25 minutes into the pod. Now let's talk about actual freaking basketball. How does that sound to you, Jared?
That sounds great to me.
I just want to start with, the Lakers are fucking on fire.
7 in a row.
7 in a row. They're playing really well defensively. They've been showing this zone for a little bit, but now it's kind of really it looks like they're fully comfortable in this zone. There have been games LeBron has missed. It's led to the whole thing of, they're better off with LeBron when it's just Austin and Luka and that whole thing. And then JJ Redick comes out and says, really at this point, we're using LeBron as a third option. All of those things that we kind of have set up, it's fascinating, like seeing the way they've sort of put everything together. I'm a little bit nervous because I feel like we sort of had this last year too. And I went back and looked at numbers and stuff, and I might be misremembering it. Like right after the All-Star break, they were red hot, and then they kind of were normal after that. But it was their defense, and it was the Banshees, and the whole, it was way more chaotic. This defense seems more organized. You even have DeAndre Ayton saying, like, I've understood that I'm not going to be that guy. And, like, when you're getting introspective DeAndre Ayton, who I still think, sucks. But, like, when you're even getting that, like, it's pretty amazing seeing this from the Lakers. 9-1 in their last 10, 7 in a row, third in the West right now. Up 2 games on Minnesota in the loss column. Like, this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you brought up all my points, which is pretty annoying. I was going to bring up the zone.
Well, fuck you. You do it all the time to me. That's why when I go to you first, you take all mine.
I was going to bring up the zone. I was going to bring up the comparison with last year's defense and how it's much more under control than it was a year ago, where they were really just trying to blitz and fly around on every possession. And now it's much more like executing in the context of a scheme and being in the right spots and locking in on the game plans and knowing your personnel on the opposite side. And it's like individual defense, I think, has gotten better for a bunch of different guys. Like Luke, I saw some of the Luka individual defense number, which he's always been better in individual defense than he's been in team defense. Like if you just put him one-on-one with somebody very James Harden style, it's been okay. But when you ask him to like pay attention away from the ball, it's been really bad. But that over the last, 3 weeks, 4 weeks has been better than it was before. He's just in total MVP mode offensively. Obviously, Reeves is on fire during this 7-game winning streak. He's at 24, 4.5, and 6.5 on 49, 35, 85 shooting. You brought up the JJ comments about LeBron. He's been back from his injury for 4 games. He's taken 13, 13, and 14 shots since he came back. He was averaging a little over 16 per game before that. And the touches and the time of possession are down. I looked up the tracking data on NBA.com. He was at 70 touches per game and 3.9 minutes per game of possession before. And in the 4 games since he's been back, 64 touches per game, but only 2.4 minutes per game of possession. So his time on each touch has been less than it was before. And Luka and Reeves have the ball in their hands more often. And it's working for them.
And to point out something, in the 7-game win streak, it's not all cupcakes. They've beaten the Knicks, Minnesota. And this is when they had Ant from Minnesota. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Ant played in that game.
I didn't see that game, but I'm pretty sure he's only been out for a couple games, so I would think that he was back.
Denver in overtime, which was a great freaking game. Oh, if you go back and watch the
best execution of an intentional missed free throw that you'll see.
Go to offside and watch my breakdown. That was a perfectly designed, like they've practiced that. Because you have the 2 guards on the one side, which cleared out the left side. Ayton just pins Jokic under the board, which is pretty impressive. And Reeves with the perfect miss to the left side of the court to get his own rebound. Go watch the video on Offside. Make sure you go to offside.gg, download the beta version, check it out. I broke down that game, but in particular that play. Make sure you check that out. That was so amazing with that, and overtime was just awesome. It was a great game. And then
the winner obviously was pretty awesome. So
right, and it's first as a Laker, which has been like I think Haberstroh's been like harping on this for a little bit. So that was big
since like October 2024 or something along those lines.
And then they go to Houston, and in the little baseball version, little mini baseball series.
Can we talk about that? I love the baseball series. They should do them more often. Reduce travel. Like, you don't have to do it back to back. Like,
I'm all in. More often. I'm all in. They beat Houston. Pretty. Not they handled them. It was a close game, but not like straight blowout fashion. I want to say this though, because this is where the NBA screwed the Lakers. They have Miami tonight on a back-to-back after playing Houston on a national TV game. They didn't get into Miami till
did this with the Knicks and Thunder a couple weeks ago on ESPN, where they were both on the second half of a back-to-back. Like,
no!
Put teams on national TV on the second half of a back-to-back.
This game's not a national TV game.
Oh.
But I'm saying that the Rockets-Lakers game was.
Right.
It was an ESPN game. And let me just make sure it's not a national TV game. Yeah, because it's tournament. NCAA tournament starts today. They're not going to do anything. But the Lakers got in at 5 a.m. and have to play a game now at, is it 7:30 Eastern?
It's 8 Eastern.
8 Eastern. Like, yo, that's not enough time. Like, that's the problem. Like, if you have to make it a back-to-back, minimize their travel on the second night of the back-to-back. Make it Houston to San Antonio or to like whatever. Like,
and don't make them jump a time zone.
This is the toughest thing. Like, we did this when I remember this specifically because when I was with the Clippers, we played Chicago and then had to fly to Charlotte for a second night of a back-to-back. And I remember Chris being furious about it because we were hopping time zones.
Are you telling me that Chris Paul was furious about something?
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
I know. This was right, though. He was right in this. And it's just, I just think this is a disservice. Like, I won't be shocked if they lose tonight. Tired legs. Luka was absolutely incredible last night. LeBron was amazing. Between the two of them, I think combined 70 points. Like, you had a great game last night, and now these guys are going to come in here dog-ass tired. And I think that's going to suck. And this Miami team is going to run them. So I think that's something that I think sucks. But so don't take away what you see tonight as like, man, what are these guys talking about? The Lakers suck. This is the second night of a back-to-back after a ridiculous travel. I think is a brutal setup for them.
Yeah, LeBron was 13 of 14 from the field last night, by the way, and the one missed shot was like on a kind of ridiculous play where I'm not even sure it was a shot attempt, and the ball got knocked out of his hands out of bounds. Like, they credit those as blocked shots instead of like steals a lot of times, but obviously the ball went out of bounds, so it counts as a missed shot. I thought he should have been 13 of 13 from the field, which would have been pretty awesome.
It would have been amazing. But but like, let me ask you this question. Let's move on to the next team we want to talk about, and then we could probably wrap. Is this sustainable? Is this something? Are you looking at this going like, hey man, like playoffs? Like, are they? I had them pegged before this run. They're getting knocked out.
Remember the extremely scientific trust ratings either last week or the week before? We both
it
had
was
them
2 weeks
very,
ago.
very
Yeah.
low.
So like, I had them knocked out in the first round, and now I'm kind of not sure. Just the way if the playoffs ended today, they'd play Denver in the first round, and I picked Denver still. But
yeah, I think I would too. It's a lot of it's just going to depend on the matchup. Although Denver, that defense, whew.
They look. Let's just do a quick tangent on Denver. They look really bad right now. Like, down the stretch, they're not looking that great, which is something I felt like was almost automatic for them. I know they have injuries and stuff, and they've had injuries all year. Like, Jokic, since he's gotten back, his shooting numbers have been down. Like, I'm a little bit more worried about them than I should be.
Denver since January 1st is 19 and 18 with a plus 1.6 net rating. which is 14th in the league.
I mean, that says it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's it might just not be their year just with all that stuff. The Cam Johnson thing. I'm telling you, Cam Johnson bump next year. I'm already predicting it. Don't make
He's
me
already
look bad,
been
Cam.
better the last couple, like the last 2-3 games.
He's beginning to figure it out, but I think we'll see a whole different deal next year. But we can talk about that next year.
Yeah.
I think there's a legitimate. My trust rating has to change now and go up. I'm more in like
I'm
seeing
more
the
into
way
this than I was early in the season, where they were just racking up wins in close games. Just the defense does look, like you said, more solid. I think the zone thing works for them. It works for their personnel, and they're doing a good job of executing it. And the defensive improvement, like you said, isn't as chaotic as it was last year, and that makes it easier for me to trust.
Well, that was the thing. Last year, the defense was like, energy, energy, energy. We have to expend energy. Vanderbilt's going to be running out like crazy. And, I mean, that's what the term, banshee, right? Like, just be completely nuts. Which, okay, but then, like, when teams organize, it becomes a problem. And I kind of worry a little bit about that when we get, like, teams will dissect this zone when we get to the playoffs of how we're going to attack it. I'm wondering if they have a little bit more up their sleeves. You said it, the Luka numbers are kind of similar to Harden in the way of, like, he's actually not that bad of an individual defender. Remember, it was like Harden's the best post defender and, all that stuff. So, like, I think it'll be interesting. I think this is more real than last year. And last year I was sipping the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I was sipping the Kool-Aid. I thought they'd be good in the playoffs. I liked the route that they had that was possible for them.
Yeah, I think we both took them in the first round against the Wolves, if I'm remembering correctly.
I definitely took them in the first round against the Wolves. I may have even gone a step further in a private conversation with my wife and my mother-in-law and had them going even further than that, but that was a private conversation that shall not be discussed here on the podcast. But you know who will be discussed on the podcast, Jared Dubin?
DeAndre
Atlanta
Ayton,
Hawks.
because I do still think it's hard to trust anything that counts DeAndre Ayton as a key factor. Like,
worries me every day.
yeah, and he was great against the Rockets last night.
Yeah, no, he's playing well. Like, I'm just like, man, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe it never does, but it worries me a great deal, Jared. It worries me a great deal. Let's go to the hottest team in the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks, who are 11-0. Excuse me, 11 straight wins. I saw 11 wins, and then I saw 10-0 as I was pulling up the standings. Here's the funny thing. They've won 11 straight games. They're still 8th in the Eastern Conference. Like, no movement up whatsoever.
I remember I wrote about, like, the seeding races in each conference, and I was so dismissive of all the Eastern Conference play-in teams, and then they all went on runs at, like, the exact same time.
I mean, we have a legitimate race for the 6th seed between Orlando, Miami, and Atlanta. I'm counting Philly out. Too. The 5 seed as well if Toronto stumbles, but Toronto's just ripped off 3 straight, and they're
only a game ahead of Orlando, though. Like, 5 through 9 are separated by 2.5 games.
It's pretty amazing in that setup, but, like, we really might have a great finish 5 through 8 to see where this goes. And we're talking, Toronto, Orlando, Atlanta, Miami. Like, this is going to be some fun stuff. Everybody might want to buckle up here a little bit as we load up on these things, because this is interesting. But what are you seeing from the Hawks right now?
The first thing I'm seeing is that during this 11-game winning streak, they have played the Nets, Wizards, Blazers, Bucks, Sixers, Mavs, Nets, Bucks, Magic, and Mavs. That's the first.
So, like,
thing.
one good team in there.
Yeah. And, like, the Sixers are not that good right now, and the Blazers are not that good right now. So, like, are they even playing good teams? Like, the Magic is really the only good team that they've played in that stretch. I remember John Hollinger wrote about it in like December or January, where he was like, the Hawks are probably going to go on a run around like late February, early March, because they have like the easiest schedule of all time during that stretch, and that is exactly what's happening right now. Like, that is the number one thing about this streak that I think people should know.
Their schedule does toughen up. Looking at Tankathon, they have the Pistons coming up, although now without Cade, probably not as tough. Celtics twice, Knicks, Cavs twice, Rockets, and the Magic one more time. But I want to say something about that Magic game. Mm-hmm. They beat the brakes off the Magic, who also had come in on a winning streak. Mm-hmm. And just from the outset, like, I was ready. I had my popcorn ready. I was ready to watch this game. Like, let's sit down. And, like, the Magic just didn't show up. Like, they beat them bloody on that one. That was pretty impressive. I think the biggest thing for the Hawks, making the change, taking Ricochet out of the lineup, and
not
playing C.J. McCollum.
This started when he was put on the bench.
Yeah. And I think that's, bad sign for former number one pick, Zachary Ricochet. But I think the run right now the Hawks are on, and this isn't a Jonathan Kuminga glow up. Like, he's been in and out of the lineup. I only think he's played like 3 or 4 games at this point, but like, it's been pretty impressive watching Jalen Johnson going completely off. I think he's earned himself an All-NBA non-asterisk position, or at least in the conversation for it. Mm-hmm. I think, CJ kind of coming. Look, man, CJ was left for dead in Washington.
He's not shooting well during this streak, but I feel like he's still been good.
No, he's been not efficient, but productive, if that makes any sort of sense. In the way that he's kind of kept them, he's been the adult in the room.
Organized. We talk about it all the time with the Timberwolves, where their offense can get disorganized at times. I think CJ has done a good job of that for the Hawks.
And I think that's like the thing of sort of helping them kind of get this going. Takes a little pressure off Jalen Johnson in terms of creating for everybody. Mm-hmm. Okongwu, fight on. All right, straight up 3-point shooter now.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. You're getting a lot of stuff across the board. Dyson Daniels still not great offensively and not having the best offensive season, but I think defensively still right there. I'm pretty impressed with them.
Yeah, I'm impressed on a certain level, like number one defense during this stretch too. Some of that obviously is the schedule, but I think, like you said, Dyson Daniels still playing really good defense. I think Okongwu has been better defensively. Jalen Johnson good defensively. CJ is a bit of a defensive liability, but they have the personnel to sort of cover up for that. We haven't talked about Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who has been absolutely on fire during the stretch. Dropped 41 against the Magic the other night, hit 9 threes, 22.5 points per game on 53, 49, 97 shooting during this 11-game stretch.
I should apologize. I kind of forgot for a quick second because I knew I was forgetting somebody, and I couldn't. That's who I forgot. Fuck.
Yeah, he's been incredible. Like, should be one of the guys heavily in the mix for most improved player this year. I think I saw during the broadcast of that Magic game that he has the highest like points per game increase of anyone in the league this year. Like, he's up like 10 points per game from where he was last year, if I'm remembering that correctly. Yeah, he was at 9.4 points per game last year, and he's at 20.3 points per game this year, shooting 39% from 3 on 8.1 attempts per game. Career high in assists, 3.7 per game. Career high in rebounds, 3.5 per game. Like, he's just been incredible for them throughout the year, and especially during this streak.
It makes me sad because I'm looking at the play-in standings. Miami 7, Atlanta 8, and this all might change. Philadelphia 9, Charlotte 10. I think Charlotte's pretty much locked in at 9 or 10.
Charlotte might be locked into 10. Like, they're 3 games back at this point?
They're 2 games behind Philly.
Oh.
So they're not dropping out of the play. But my concern is, like, I want Charlotte to make the playoffs. Maybe I'm not supposed to root for it, but like, they're just fun. Mm. But at the same time, you have Miami and Atlanta playing so well. Like, one out of these three teams is not going to be in the playoffs. And maybe this is the price Charlotte pays for starting 4-14, but like, damn, man, like it would be fun to kind of watch that sort of come together.
Yeah, I mean, they're so much fun to watch on a tactical level, in addition to just like the joy that they've been playing with since the start of the new year. I would love to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah. Any other Atlanta notes before we move on?
Jock Landale doing pretty well since they got him since the trade deadline.
There's always a couple people that are just throw-ins and trades that everybody just we classify as throw-ins that end up doing like really well in their new spot. Landale's a great example. Another guy I'd like to nominate for this is Benedict Mathurin, because like nobody talks about that part.
I don't think he was a throw-in. I thought that was a pretty big part of the trade.
Well, I don't think a lot of people talked about it because all they talked about what the Clippers got mainly was the 5-9 pick,
right?
Possibility. And we should also mention Atlanta also has a chance to add a pretty high pick.
They're either getting New Orleans or Milwaukee's pick, whichever is higher.
So I mean, like they could even add more talent to their pool with all that stuff. I think any other NBA topic you want to jump on?
Yeah, I want to spring something on you because you've sprung things on me before.
Please,
so I'm getting you back here. I want to talk about the Knicks briefly because they are, I think, 21-7, if I'm remembering correctly, in their last 28 games since they had that 2-9 stretch. They are now. Let's see, they're third. I know they're third in the NBA in offense. Last time I checked, they were either sixth in defense. They're now seventh in defense, 0.1 points per 100 possessions behind the Raptors. They are fifth in net rating. Oklahoma City, Boston, Detroit, San Antonio, the only teams ahead of them. Their point differential suggests a 48-22 team, while they're 45-25. So that again is fifth best in the league. Oklahoma City, Boston, Detroit, San Antonio. Why do we not feel like they're as good as their performance says they are? What is it about them that leaves us wanting?
One, it's the Knicks. That's one. It's just we're used to this shit with the Knicks, where it's like everything lines up, but then an epic disaster, a Tyrese Halliburton shot that shouldn't go in, bounces way high up, and then drops dead center in the rim, and he puts you in a bad position with all those things. I think the real answer, at least for me, Jared, is it's too up and down with them. Right?
But
like
despite that up and down, they're like crushing it in their last 28 games or whatever it is.
Completely agree. I think they're legitimate, right? Like maybe I haven't changed my pick. I know I've been high on Boston as of late, but like I started the year, and I think you had it too, right? We both had the Knicks going to the finals. Yeah. Like I don't. There's no team in the East I trust. Like I feel comfortable. We talked about this before. Like I just like okay. But the thing with the Knicks is, it seems so fragile. In that the smallest thing can shake them, and Cat is maybe fragile isn't the right word, and I don't mean this. I know it sounds bad, but like unstable is maybe more my concern, right? Like they can go through this stretch for 30 games, Jared. It's a 28 game stretch right now, right?
It's 26, 19-7. I overestimate
19. Okay, so 26 game stretch, but it's like cool, and this has been sustained and consistent. But then they could drop 6 straight. Or 5 straight, and we'll be like, what the fuck? You guys were just doing all of this stuff. And it's for whatever reason, like the drop-off level, their variance is so crazy from where they could go, and they have this weird sort of like roller coaster thing. They have everything they need to go to the finals. And this is the year to do it, because the East will be better next year. Indiana will be back. And, when they get Tyrese and high draft pick, they continue to lose every game the rest of the season, which they're pretty much like seem to be dead set on track for. The East will be better. Charlotte's on the come up. God knows what happens with Orlando. And Miami's looked better this year. Like, there's all this stuff. Like, this is the year to do it. And I think it's just a matter of, like, I don't feel comfortable enough when I look at them going, like, all this is sustainable. But for whatever reason, I worry that they just won't sustain. And I'm not even talking about injury risk. Like, Mikal Bridges checks in and out where he looks really good.
Brutal lately.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, okay, like, this is rough. It's like you have all of this stuff where it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I could see them getting all the way to the finals, and I still have them going, at the very least second round. I mean, depends how the standings set. I think they could beat Boston in the second round. I have questions about Boston and their bigs. As great as Cade has been, like, that's still a lot to depend on in terms of rotation when we get to the playoffs. They don't have a lot of bigs that I feel comfortable with. Not a Vooch guy. Cleveland, sorry, dude. Like, you have Harden. And I discount them a lot. And really, to me now, it's a neck and neck race to me between Boston and New York.
I think so. A couple things. First of all, I messed it up again. It's 20-7, not 19-7 or 21-7. Fifth in offense, first in defense, 2 points per 100 possessions clear of the Thunder during that stretch. First in net rating, almost a full point per 100 possessions clear of San Antonio, and 3 points per 100 possessions clear of the team in third place. And still, it's like, I don't know. They're so inconsistent, and they are. I think some of it is during that stretch they got absolutely clobbered by Detroit. They lost to Oklahoma City. That was a really good game, and I think a pretty good sign for them. But, they lost to Cleveland in that stretch, and it wasn't a particularly great game for them. Some of it is Towns, for a lot of the season, looked not like himself offensively. Since the All-Star break, he's been great offensively, but now Bridges is in, like, the biggest funk of his career where he can't make any shots, and he's getting benched for Landry Shamet. Josh Hart has been up and down throughout the season, better lately. Brunson went through a shooting slump at one point during the stretch, but they still just keep winning games during this stretch.
I'll tell you,
I think some of it also is that we all expected them to be the best team in the East this year, and they haven't been the best team in the East. And that, I think, colors what we think of what they've done over this latter half of the season.
But it's not even that. It's the fact that they're third now, right? Like, it's not even like I've been fine.
They've been third for a while. Boston's been in second place since January. I just found it before.
I mean, well before they got Tatum, right? Like, the fact that they're third now. The other thing, and this is what I mean to you about consistency, right? And the thing that, like, bothers me.
January 15th for Boston.
They beat Denver in Denver, and
by a lot.
Straight up ass whooping. Then get swept in LA by the Lakers and Clippers. And yeah, we've talked about these two teams playing really well at this point. Mm-hmm. But, like, that's the drop off, right? Like, to me, that's where I'm like, okay, cool. Their next 4 wins are all shit wins. Sorry. Yeah. We and what I mean by shit wins is we shit on you if you lose, and we don't give you any credit for wins. Right? Because Utah, Indiana,
and there's barely not a lot left for them through the rest of the season to really prove that they've got, like, good wins in them. They have the 23rd ranked strength of schedule the rest of the way. Their only, like, really good games left are Oklahoma City once, Boston once, and Houston once. But that Boston game is, like, right at the end of the year. It might not be worth anything. You might see them rest guys for that game. And they've got Washington, Brooklyn, Memphis, Chicago, New Orleans on the schedule. So, yeah.
So, like, it's just like it's to me, that's where I'm kind of like, are you really a serious team? That game against OKC that they lost, and everybody has said it. It's not like this is a novel idea. You said it. It was a good loss. Like, in the way that they came back, they battled back, had 2 shots to tie it at the end. Just didn't knock it down. But, like, battled back in a strong way. We're like, all right, cool. Then recover, beat the crap out of Denver in Denver, And then it's like, cool, we're ready to roll. And then it's lose by 13 to the Lakers, lose by 8 to the Clippers. Like it's like you come into LA, and I get it, back to back or whatever, but that's a no travel back to back, right? You're staying in the same hotel, all that stuff, and it's like, come on, man. Like, to me, that's where I'm like, dude, you got to find a way to at least split. At least split. I would have felt better, and that's where I think the concern is, where people have. I think ultimately, the East is so bad this year that, like, hey, man, I still expect them. You know, it's going to be hard because their second round opponent's going to be Boston. Right now, I'm just leaning that I think they beat Boston in a 7-game series, but it's close.
Maybe they hope that Boston catches Detroit, even though they've gotten their asses kicked by Detroit in all 3 games this year. But it might be different with Cade missing time and maybe not being in a full rhythm in time for the playoffs. Who knows?
And see, that's how we go full circle in this podcast.
I do want to spring one more thing on you. We can touch on it very quickly.
Okay, go for it.
Houston's late game
today.
Offense. Houston's late game offense.
Oh, it's awful.
Thoughts?
No. I'll give you thoughts. I'll give you thoughts because I've been saying this for a while. It's absolutely atrocious, and it makes me realize something that, like, I posted this on X. Ime Udoka does not have an offensive bag. That's just like, yeah, like, to a large degree. Like, it's he focuses all on defense. This is even to go back to his Celtics teams. They didn't run a lot of great stuff.
You only had one Celtics team.
Okay, that's fine. That one Celtics team didn't run a lot of great stuff. They had that really, they started out awful, had that turnaround midseason, but their offense wasn't, like, mind-blowing in that stuff. And this is a team with no point guard. This whole Amen Thompson, the Fred VanVleet injury being a blessing in disguise. Amen Thompson's going to level up. All this might help his development in the future, but does not help them now, which is what I said at the time when everybody was talking blessing in disguise. And I think it's also like, when you're looking at this stuff, he doesn't have an offensive bag. They have no spacing. It took him a long time to finally start playing Reed Shepherd in crunch time. Mm. You know, and it's, you know, he's one of the few viable shooters that they have. And everybody's just saying, like, no, dude, we're just going to put 2 on KD. We're going to put 2 on Şengün and let everybody else figure it out. We've seen it. Like, there is no offensive system.
They found something briefly in the third quarter against the Lakers last night, where they were running like the set that Denver loves, where, you know, you enter the ball to the center in the high post in horns, and then KD sets a back screen for Reed Shepherd, and then he comes off the dribble handoff. They scored on that like 5 times in 7 possessions, and then they just didn't go to it the rest of the way.
It's all of this stuff, lack of offensive bag from Udoka, and I think that's what hurts them as a team, and I think that's what holds them back, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, they're petering out going into the season, like, or going into the playoffs. Nobody actually really believes in them in the way that they're playing, and to the point where people are questioning KD and think he's overrated. Like, I go, like, look who he's playing with. Like, I don't know.
That's what KD said according to the burners. Boom.
Now we're done, because now we're at burner talk, and that's all we got. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, send this to everybody you know. Make sure you let them know that 2 handsome dudes are doing an amazing work on their podcast. Make sure you're watching us on YouTube, and thank you for watching and listening to the Double Dribble Podcast.
See y'all.